Hello. It is Girl Talk Live. Today we have doTERRA Royalty is joining us today. I'm so excited. Dana Moore will be joining us, and we are in for a treat. We're in for a treat. Hey, let me see if I can get her in.
I
There she is.
am good. I
Hey,
think so. Yeah,
how are you?
I'm great.
Good. Well, you look good. You look good. I am so
You're
excited.
crazy.
I'm a little nervous. I can't even lie. I'm so happy that you could join us. I got so many people messaging me, and they're like, "How'd
Totally.
you get Dana Moore?" I was like, "I just
Aw,
asked her." She's so
that's
kind.
so
She
fun.
just said yes without hesitation, and I appreciate it. So, hel- hello to everybody that's joining us. I'm so excited to have everybody here. Um, I have been wanting to really pick your brain for a long time and get to know you a little bit because I just really admire your leadership style and I kind of watch leaders from afar and take, I'm taking notes as I'm trying to grow my business. And I think the best way to do that is to talk to them and ask them questions and just hear what's worked for them. And I know so many people out there are like me and they want to talk to you. So thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to hop right in because I have a long list of questions and I have my notes over here to the side if you guys see me, if you see me looking. And I feel like people are going to have questions as we go too. So drop them in the comment section and we'll see how many we can get to. So first up,
That's
how
a fun
were you
question.
introduced to
Okay,
doTERRA?
so my first introduction to essential oils was with Young Living. And so my understanding before doTERRA walked into my life was that essential oils were something that needed to be tested and pure, and that things from the store were crap. So I had like somebody laid that foundation for me. And I bought for about 6 years retail. Just total waste of money to spend retail. But no one said anything different to me. No one had told me that there was like you could just get them at wholesale. And so my lack of understanding for how that worked caused me to spend more money than I needed to, and also barely dabble, barely dabble in essential oils because like they're so expensive, and we financially just couldn't do much. And then one of my best friends, Betsy, she got introduced to oils, and she would like pedal around her little case. Like she had this cute little square soft case, and she would just like everywhere she went, she was like, "You got to smell these. These are amazing." And I was like, "Okay, already." Um, like that's exciting. I don't know. But my kids were obsessed with lemon. They called it lemonade, and they loved it. And I was about to travel for a wedding and had just like major stomach problems. So I couldn't stop having diarrhea, even though I had no other symptoms.
Mm,
And that has never happened to me before and stuff like that. And so she was like, "Here, take this Digestin,
mm,
whatever." And I was like, "Okay." Because I was even like, went and bought like an over the counter, and that's not like me. I wasn't prone to that type of decision. I would just like use
mm,
garlic and
mm,
vinegar and figure things out, you know? So I was very naturally minded. But anyway, it
mm.
worked. I was able to enjoy
Okay.
this wedding and not feel so depleted because when your digestive system is out of control, you're like dehydrated and depleted. So my energy
Mhm,
was so tanked.
mm.
And then I came back, went to a class that she hosted, and I was just like, frankincense does what? Like I was so blown away. So I got a kit and was
Mind
so
blown.
excited about that.
Mhm.
And then just was a user for a solid year before I decided, hey, I actually really want to tell people about these. And I really think that people don't know how to use oils. And maybe people were like me for 6 years, buying random bottles of retail and not really putting them to use. And that's kind of where I switched gears.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
at
awesome.
the
So how long
very
ago was
end of
was that? Did the
2013,
switch happened?
I was like, oh, this could be a
Okay.
business. And my husband was like, I think you should do this. And I was like, really?
Mm.
And he was like, yeah, like you love talking about this. And I was like, okay. And so early in 2014 is when I started to teach classes, like February, March.
Yeah. Did you have, so were you like gung ho, or did you
I
have
was so
any
like
hesitations
not gung ho.
about the business side of
I will tell
things?
you how this is so vulnerable, but I was so not gung ho that even though I had classes on the calendar in February, at the very end of January in 2014, my dad died. And I was relieved to cancel all my classes. I was like, well, what a great
Mm.
excuse I have now. Like, I was so
Yeah.
terrified to step
Wow.
into this job. I think I had reservations about network marketing in general.
Mhm.
As maybe some do. If you don't, you're
Mm.
lucky. Like you escaped
Mhm.
the mindset hurdle of that. But for me, it was
Mhm.
I had a bad experience in
Mhm.
college where I like really gave it my all, believed in a product, but I didn't love the approach and just felt like I couldn't get any traction. And actually went into debt in this company, and so that really put a bad like taste in my mouth. I don't think that you should go into debt to
Mm.
start a business like this. In fact, that's like the best part about these businesses
Yeah.
is that you don't have to do anything like that. And so that was a hurdle for me. And then just feeling like I
Mhm.
was incompetent to explain the science. Like in my head, people were going to ask me questions like, name
Mm.
the 50 ways you test oils, or something like that. I would like drive in my car and I would go like mass spectrometry, gas chromatography. Like I would like say these words in my head. I have never once said those words in a class.
Oh,
Like they
wow.
don't, that's not part of what we do. We help people with
Right.
practical things.
Right.
Like we're not here to prove that we know science
Right.
terms,
Right.
kind of thing. And so those are my hurdles. But
Yeah.
the
100%.
joy of teaching when finally we went through the funeral and things like that, and then got into like teaching, the joy of that and the like literal like natural high that I felt from helping people far outweighed my like reservations. And from there it was like, pedal to the metal.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's definitely a high. And then I feel like when you start to hear other people's experiences and you're helping so many people, it's just like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So did you, when you came in, were you like, oh, let me look at the compensation plan and understand it, and let me just, oh, they're saying
Sorry.
our sound might be lagging a little bit, so sorry. Hopefully it'll clear up on the replay. Did you feel like yes, I
Comp
want to be
plan.
a presidential diamond off the bat.
Yeah,
I saw it on
no,
the,
no.
on the compensation plan, and that's what I want.
So one
No?
thing before this all happened, we had recently where we were in recovery from bankruptcy. So when the economy crashed back in 2008 and 2009 and things like that, we went
Mm.
through like complete financial ruin. Like I'm not being dramatic. Like it was horrific.
Mm.
And so that was horrible. And then so really like my belief level for what we could attain financially was very small too. But I sat down with some people in doTERRA who were very successful and were doing great. And I was like, how much do you make? Like, I just need to know. Just like, what was your check last month? And one was, I believe, a blue diamond.
Mhm.
And she was like $30,000. And I like died. Like I choked on my heart. I like fell out of it. I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like for real? And then the other one who was a platinum, it was like 10,000. And I was like, okay. And I just was like, okay, I can do this. And I think I was making around 1,400 a month at that time in doTERRA. So 10,000 and 30,000 didn't seem anywhere close to what I needed,
Mhm.
but I thought like I could hit the rank of silver and or maybe I had hit the rank of silver. It was like sometime in there. No, I hadn't hit it
Mhm.
yet. I was like, I could be a silver. So maybe I was making like 400 a month prior to this. Sorry, I can't totally remember, but I wasn't making hardly anything. And then I told Nate, my husband, I said, if I
Yeah.
can make $3,000 a month, will you let me hire a housekeeper? And that's all I wanted. That was my only reason I wanted to do doTERRA and actually like contribute to our household income, because I just couldn't think bigger than that. And that was
Yeah.
my biggest pain point, was like little kids, messy house, constantly feeling like I can't get on top of it. And
Hmm.
he said, yeah, sure. So I was like, game on, let's do it. I'm kind of an easy sell, you know, you can tell. Like the carrot does not have to be big for me. I'm like, okay, I'll get a housekeeper, I'll do doTERRA. So
Right. I love it. Somebody posted or somebody commented, having supportive spouses is the best. And it really is in this business. You really do need
I
that
think it
support.
was a premiere.
Okay, so you were premier, sounds like, pushing for pushing for silver, so you get a housekeeper. So when did you set your sights
Yeah,
on
so
presidential diamond? Did you
sometimes
set you had
not
to have
figuring
set your
everything
sights on
out
it
is
at some
to your
point?
advantage, because I'm sometimes overly positive
Hmm.
and very naive. But those things work for me most of the time in life. Not always. There's always like negatives to every trait, but those things really work for me.
Yeah.
So when I would look at the comp plan, I just looked at it
Hmm.
as stairs. And so I was at silver, and I was like, well, if I can hit silver,
Hmm.
well, diamond's only 2 steps away. I just go gold, platinum, diamond. So obviously I could do that. Like it was just like, what's the very next thing? It's only 2 steps away. And then, you know, presidential was like 4 steps away. So I was like, well, why would you stop climbing the mountain then? Like, just seems like it's only
Right,
four
right,
steps away. Now, obviously, we know it's a lot more than just 4 steps away.
right.
But in my head, I'm like, well, if I can crush, you know,
Hmm.
executive, elite, premier, silver, like I'm halfway up the line. Like, I can do that. And that's like literally, I was like, I guess I'll just go the
Yeah.
whole way, and never thought a thing of it. I mean, eventually, like the strategy of it all and stuff came into play,
Yeah.
but like, I just at that moment decided, well, then that's where I'm going to go.
Hmm.
So I think the biggest hurdle is just believing in
Yeah.
the opportunity, not ranking. It was just believing in the opportunity. And if I believe in the opportunity and I already had believed in the products, then the rest of it, I was just like,
Hmm.
okay, it's a numbers game. It's just, that's all it is. Just keep going. And that's what we decided to do at that point.
Numbers game. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, I think sometimes you can overcomplicate it. It ain't easy, right? It ain't easy, but it's not overly complicated, right? So we just have to. I think it's just important that you catch the vision, like you said, to believe in the opportunity. I think is half the battle. So sometimes I feel like, a lot of times we may inhibit ourselves. We have these limiting beliefs. We aren't sure that we can do it. We don't know if it was meant for us. We don't know if it's possible for us. But the reality is it's possible for anybody, right? You just have to have the drive and the dedication and the determination to like stick to it and keep pushing.
Steps
So
away.
yeah, I love that. I
And the
love that
thing
you're just like, oh, it's just a few,
somebody
few
asked like
steps away.
how long did it
Yeah.
take to hit each rank? Um, Not, it wasn't long for us, but I will tell you that our activity matched, like our momentum matched that. So I think it was in March we might have hit silver then that year of 2014, and by October we hit diamond and held it solid, and then blue diamond in
Wow.
June, and then presidential the following August. So it was
Wow.
like that. But when you like when I understood that this is how this works, um, and the goal is just teach more people, like teach more people about
Mhm.
essential oils, help more people. The more people you can help, the more that you can, you know, get to your goals. But like I will tell you guys, I don't have a lot of energy around money. We've had a lot of money, we've had no money, and so to me, money is just like it just doesn't carry a lot of energy or weight for me. So it wasn't like I was chasing a paycheck or anything like that. I just like absolutely loved helping people, and I got
Mhm.
such a rush out of teaching people and like watching their lights come on, you know, about like, oh my gosh, I could these oils are really helpful. Like they're gonna
Mhm.
pave the way for me to live my best life. Like that to me was, I
Mhm.
would get up every morning for that. So we did that, but I also, I mean, I said yes to every single opportunity. And that was a crazy season. Like I worked probably 50 hours a
Mhm.
week for many weeks, you know, maybe 60. It took a lot of juggling,
Mhm.
but it
Mhm.
was like I couldn't turn down an opportunity. We didn't want to. It was just like that much momentum was happening at that time. And then the more it's like momentum creates momentum,
Mhm.
you know. So like if you have nothing coming into you, it's
Mhm.
because you're probably not putting anything out either. But then once you start, you know, and you're constantly touching your business and things like that, it starts to like kind of catch like wildfire, and it will do that for you. It's just that I would say there's very few people. Founders are good examples of people who are doing this right now, who are putting in 40, 50 hours a week, where you know they kind of are. I would say like balls to the wall with DoTerra, but they're showing the results too. Now you don't have to do that,
Mhm.
right? Residual income can and passive income can look any way you want it. But for us, we wanted it to be our like bread and butter. We wanted doTERRA to
Mhm.
be our complete income, and that's why we did it that way. Or you might just want doTERRA to be, you know, vacation money, or you know, like a really nice savings account, or move out of a
Mhm.
neighborhood that you're not in love with, you know, or who knows what you need doTERRA to be for you. It could be anything. I just don't want you
Mhm.
to think you have to work that much if you work doTERRA. Some people work 4 hours a week and like, you know, they make a couple $100 or $1,000 a month, and that's amazing. You know, like that. When I was making $400 a month with doTERRA, that was
Right.
amazing to me. I
Mhm.
probably was
Same
more
crazy
excited
for a lot of
about
people.
that even than I am now, because I was like, look what I'm doing. So, you know,
Right. Yeah, no, I think that that's so important for people to hear. So I can see some people that are joining are existing wellness advocates who are trying to grow their business. And I'll speak for myself, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of people when I say this. Um, there's an aspect of this business that is easy, especially if you love people and you love to help people. And so if you to know that you can earn a couple $100s, couple $1,000 just by helping people doing something you love, then that feels really good. It's a great place to be in. But it is different than pushing for rank and trying to build a life where you have, financial freedom, where you have time freedom. Those are two different things, right? And so I think what happens is, or at least for me, there was a season in my business where it just felt good and it felt easy and things were flowing naturally and organically, and I loved it. But I'm like, why am I not why am I not advancing beyond gold? Like I got to gold like that, and that was nice, but like why can't I push past gold? And it's like, well, I've been a little hesitant and a little afraid to push my foot all the way down on the gas. And when you're in a push like for founders right now,
true.
we got no time to be going slow. It's time, especially there's now a time clock
Mhm.
on it, right? So we have to put the pedal to the metal and give it all you got. And so I think to your point, like it's a season. This isn't the
Oh
life that you will live
yeah.
forever. In fact, like, can
Probably
I
about
ask
10
how
hours
many
a
hours
week
a week now
um,
do you work?
total. And a bigger week might be like 15 hours, you know.
Yeah.
I do homeschool 4 kids, so I'm very hands-on with that.
Yeah.
And we moved to
Hmm.
Florida recently. We live here because we want to, like, we just love to enjoy life, you know. And so, like I walk to the beach every day. I do like about an hour and a half walk, so I have like time for that, you know, in the midst of it. So it is this thing where
Mm.
if you can,
Yes.
a college friend said this to me, and it has never left me. But her husband was very like he was in business school and very financially like smart, you know, just like one of those wiser beyond his years. But he was repeating something a mentor had said to him. But like,
Hmm.
if you can live, if you can live, I think like nobody else for 5 years, Like you can live like nobody else for the rest of your life kind of thing. I think I might be butchering it, but the point is like if you're willing to do
Nobody
stuff
else.
that nobody else is willing to do for a short
Hmm.
amount of time,
Hmm.
like really buckle down, tighten up your schedule, say no to anything that doesn't
Hmm.
align with your vision, work really hard. It's a very, very short season for then the payoff of what the season is now. Like
Hmm.
our time freedom is our favorite
Hmm.
thing, and our paycheck has just sustained us for years.
Hmm.
We hit presidential in 2016 and it's 2023,
Hmm.
and we're just still reaping the benefit of that 2014, 2016 hustle.
Hmm.
Like I wouldn't trade a second of that
Hmm.
for what we have accomplished with that. Like I would do it all
Yeah.
over again, as well, just to be like,
Hmm.
okay, 2 years of hard work, what is it, 6 years, 7 years of like really, well, you know, it's pretty
Hmm.
relaxed. Our life is pretty relaxed. So
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. When I see
mhm.
your stories with your beach walks, I'm like, ah, one day. But I mean, that for me, that's the end game, right? It's a life where, we're able to
Mhm.
live without that hustle and bustle, that just kind of keeps happening. And and just be able to spend our time doing the things that we want to do with the people that we want to be with. That's the most important thing. Um, so she said when you were
Yeah.
pushing, how many hours a
Oh yeah.
week did you say
Like
you
I
did?
I would
Did you say like
teach,
50, 60 hours
I would
sometimes?
figure out ways to teach
Yeah.
everywhere. So I would approach
But
local businesses and teach a lunch and learn. Um, I would teach at night. I would teach sometimes two times
smart.
on the weekend, like two times on a Saturday and sometimes a Sunday afternoon. Um, we did that for a few months. Then we were like, okay, take a breath. Like I'm gonna burn out if I can't find that day in the calendar that I'm just like
Hmm.
don't have to be on. Yeah. So then I think it was like Wednesdays
Hmm.
and
The day
Sundays
of
that I was
rest.
like, I will
Hmm.
teach, I will
Hmm.
say yes to any opportunity except a Wednesday or a Sunday. And so then I could always count on recharging with my
Hmm.
family, staying in my sweatpants, whatever I needed to do. And they could count on that too. Um, and that just really worked for us. But again, it was a short season. Even that intensity was maybe 4 to 5 months where it was like constant, where I
Hmm.
was doing Diamond Club and
Hmm.
just
Very intense.
capitalizing on the momentum offered.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's important. I know a lot of people. I saw a comment earlier. The question was, how can I increase enrollment? Um, Teach more classes, right? I don't think I mean, you can tell me if there's a secret sauce to this.
Mhm.
But what I have found is that
Yeah,
pipes
it
work.
does. It does
You
work.
just have
And I'm
to
not
do
a
it.
top enroller, just in case
Any,
anybody's like, oh, you must have enrolled all these people. Like, I really didn't. I think my best month ever, I enrolled like 12 people, my best month ever. And so I typically
Mhm.
enroll, maybe like 2 to 3
Mhm.
customers a month. That's pretty normal for me. A great month would be like 5. Like, so I'm really not bringing in new customers. What I was doing was inspiring people to build passive income, residual income. And that's still my favorite thing to do is because like
Mhm.
customers, I love customers. I love helping people with their business, but like my biggest pain point wasn't health. My biggest pain point was finances, where we just like hadn't known what it felt like to have nothing. And then when we had this extra income, and it wasn't even really extra, it was just like enough now. Like we now have enough. That the amount of stress that like lifted was incredible.
Mhm.
And then we started to dream about our future. We started to dream about what is possible because your income really limits your
Mhm.
mindset, whether you want it to or not. But it grounds you to what
Mhm.
what this life gets to look like for you. Like where you live, what neighborhood you live in, where your kids go to school, how much you
Mhm.
travel, if you
Yeah.
travel at all, how long you can travel. I mean, literally, even if you're allowed to be sick, like even if you're allowed to take off work and all of those things, can you show up when people need you? Like I remember one summer, my mom was sick, and I went and like my sister and I both went and helped her for like 2 weeks. No worries, no questions asked. We didn't have to think about it. We just went and helped our mom. And that is what this kind of has afforded, it's just that the ability to be able to kind of take that time off and things like that. So for me, it wasn't that I was enrolling a ton of people and I'm still not. It was that I was saying like, hey, I know what it feels like to have like literally nothing. And now it's a whole different ball game. It's like the lid of life has lifted in a lot of ways. And so let me teach you how to do that too. And this is how you do it. You just talk to people about products that work and that products that they need. And then it just grew. So that was my angle, so to speak, but I didn't know it was an angle. I was just like, this is what my heart is like aligned with the most.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's what you believed it, right? So it just came out. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so at what point, I'm trying to think, you started in 13. At what point did you take your
So
business
not
to social
until
media? At what point did you start to incorporate social media in
okay,
your business?
so well there's two kind of parts of this. I was always on Facebook, and so I wouldn't have said that I learned how to transition to
Okay.
social media till
Mm-hmm.
about 2018. So we were presidential for a couple years. And so
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that I built on social media. I do very much build on social media now, but it wasn't that I did in those times. I'm not
Yeah.
a quick, like I'm not the first one to learn something. There was people building on social media and doing really awesome with that. I'm kind of like
Mm-hmm.
how's that work kind of person, like, can you teach me? I'm not necessarily going to dive in and figure it all out myself and be the first person
Mm-hmm.
out there. Like that's not my personality, but so I used Facebook just
Mm-hmm.
kind of how anyone would use Facebook back in the day where we're like, going to the park with my kids, great, thanks for announcing it. Like, um, I hate bedtime. So what? We all do,
Right.
kind of thing. But then I was like, wait a minute, people always love to talk about how much they're sick
Right.
online. Like they love to announce like fourth day with the stomach flu, like God help me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would start messaging people
Yeah.
when they were sick because I was like, oh my gosh, they need oils. I can help them. And I would just drop off like diffusers and I would drop off oils, like just lend them for the week. Like, hey, this will help you all week. Just when you feel like you're on your feet again, let me know. I would also drop off soup. I would also, like I was just like, hey, I need to help people. And that's how I use social media a
Yeah.
lot, to sample or introduce people to essential oils and to just help them, because I knew that having oils when you're sick is the best thing
Mm-hmm.
ever. It just like releases the symptoms in a way. It's not like they're magic and all of a sudden we're all like, oh, we feel great. We feel so great. It's not like that, but like when your
Mm-hmm.
chest is feeling like an elephant is sitting on it and you rub some
Right.
peppermint on there and you're like, oh, I can breathe again. Everybody needs that. So that's kind of what I was
Right.
doing
Can
up
breathe.
until
Yeah.
that point, or if I was having a
Mm-hmm.
class or whatever, I happened to take a picture, whatever, I would post it. So we use social media a little bit for like events and things like that. Strategically, you could argue maybe accidentally strategically, but not necessarily. And then when I started Instagram
Yeah.
and realizing
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
value of Instagram, I got a handle on it in 2018, and I probably started to pick up much, much closer to like 2020, like when COVID was ramping up. And I was like, okay, we got to figure more out with social
Mm-hmm.
media then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's awesome. So you have what?
Yeah.
Last I
Mm-hmm.
checked, you had what, like 16,000 followers or so. So any tips to those who are trying to use social media strategically? I know a lot of us who started
Mm-hmm.
before COVID, it
Totally.
was accidentally strategic, but now
Yeah,
we've got to use a little bit
I
more
think
strategy.
about who you
Any
like to
any tips
follow,
for
like, and
us?
see why you like to follow them. It's usually because they add a lot of value, or they're entertaining or whatever. There's reasons you follow people, but pay attention to that, because that's like kind of how I like um
Mhm.
brand myself, so to speak. Like humor is my favorite thing. So if I'm not putting humor into it, I'm not being true to myself. So I know I
Mhm.
love humor and I know I love like health tips. And my background way before this was in teaching, elementary school. I like to feel like, how can you break something down that's like the easiest thing somebody, like a first grader, could understand? And I don't mean that in any way that's like patronizing. I just mean like, we have so much going on. We don't need things to be complicated. We need it to be like, this is what you do. Put oils on your feet, you know?
Right.
And so there are so many people so much smarter than
Right.
me, and that's awesome. That's their zone of genius. Mine is like, how can we take complex things and make them easy? And so I started doing Simple Secrets, was like, but I was like, because I know how to do this, and I know how to do it and make you understand it without you having to learn big words or hard concepts. This is how it works. This is why it works. You know, these are some tips so that you can be successful with your health. And that's kind of the angle I took. And then social media to me is like one of those things where I'm like, if you're not using it, you're missing out, because there's so many aspects of it that are basically free advertising. Like, I used to teach, 12 women in a room, no problem. But now, like, even now, there's, 27 people are hanging out with us. It's like we're all in a living room hanging out. Like, who gathers 27 people on a Thursday at noon? Like, that's hard to do. But on social media, like, hey guys, we can kind of have this interaction and this fun. And then things like reels are really quick ways to educate people and to show them a product or teach them something, sometimes in 7 seconds, sometimes so short and sweet, but the reach is endless. Like, the reach can be endless, and it's free. Like, I've never paid for advertising. I've never put up an ad. I've never done anything like that, because I'm like, there's free tools out there. And if you learn how to use them, like, and it's not hard to learn. You just have to actually sit down. Yeah, you just have to do it.
Do it.
You know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think a lot of people are afraid of social media, and certainly there's a dark side to social media, there's dark side to everything, right? But I think a lot of people are afraid, or at least what I've heard, they're, afraid to put themselves out there and to show their face, and everything's got to be perfect. And it's like, not
I mean,
really.
I like to follow people that are
Any
very
thoughts on
real.
that?
And so I just like take take the advice of like, what are you attracted to? Like, I'm attracted to real women and real men, or humor, whatever I'm attracted to. And then
Yeah.
that's what I do. So, I mean, filters are really nice. Filters are fun when you're not feeling your best. They smooth out your skin, and you're like, there you go. Like, I have a filter on this right now because it's
Yeah.
better lighting than if I didn't. I'm not into changing my face shape or things like that. I'm not into that. This is actually how I look,
Right.
So
Right.
I'm very much
Right.
into the more natural side of that. But
Right.
I think people appreciate it. Like, sometimes I'll clear up my counter and make like this great little spot to film, something like a recipe or something. But then I'll also like just show like, and this is what the other half of the kitchen looks like, because I'm like, do you think that I just live in this like super clean space that I'm like, at any moment I can just create a video because wow, my counters don't ever get sticky? I'm like, no, like, in fact, it's more rare that it's clean than not. And so I just like, I like to show things that are real, and I think people appreciate those as well. I like when people just like bring the value no matter what. I have, there's two accounts I can think of right now, is Kylie Twos and Alker and Co. They both will go live like a lot. Like, they do reels all the time. And sometimes they have their makeup on, and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're dressed for the day, and sometimes they're not. And they never make an excuse or apologize. They're just real people doing the thing, and their content and their value is so good, and I'm always like, get it. Like, every time I see them, like, get it.
Yeah.
Because I just appreciate that from other people as well. So there's, I guess there's an art to it, but like, you won't know who you're going to be on social media until you start to play with it. And I don't mean like you change who you are. I think it's the absolute best if people like met me here online and then met me in person, and they'll say, you're exactly the same. And I'm like, that is exactly what I was hoping for. Like, I won't ever be somebody that I'm not, you know?
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
cackle laugh all the time in my stories. I'm like, that's just how I laugh, you know? I'm like, sorry, I can't make that sound nicer, you know? So I think that that's a thing, but you won't really figure out like how you
Right.
like to show up or what people respond to, or what engages with your audience until you just do it. So you just have to do it. You have to do it and put yourself out there. And then you can kind of
Yeah.
tailor and tweak it along the way. But in the beginning, you know, you don't have a ton of followers anyway. It's the best time to
Hmm.
practice. You know, they're probably the people you love the most and that love you the most. And you can just practice a little
True.
bit, and
Yeah.
be really consistent with it. But yeah, it's a free
Yeah.
audience to me. I'm like, use it, use it, use it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, definitely. And I think you make a good point about like these are the people that you love the most, and I find that they give you feedback, right? Because they're watching you grow and they know what you're trying to do. So sometimes I'll get messages from people that are like, "Hey, that's really good content," or "I liked when you did this," or I liked it when you didn't have my makeup," things like that. So you're right. It's a good time to practice when the audience is small, and then kind of come into your own as you keep doing it. It gets easier and easier the more you do it. So if you are watching and you are hesitating to hop on the world of social media to grow your business, hey, why not?
Okay.
Why not? Okay, two more questions, and I'll put them together. And this is for those, we've been talking a lot to people who are already existing wellness advocates. They kind of understand the business that is doTERRA. But for those maybe who are watching, maybe they just got started with oils. Maybe they're like, oh my, these oils are awesome. Like maybe I should. What tips do you have, or what can you say to those people who maybe are looking at it the long-term benefits, or those maybe that just want like to side hustle it?
Can you
Ask
say
that
that
question
again?
properly.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me say it
Okay.
again. Okay. For people who are not yet wellness advocates, maybe their customers just got started with oils, they see the opportunity. They see the big, they caught the vision. They can see Presidential Diamond. They see the long-term benefits of pushing and riding it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or they I just want to pay my car payment with doTERRA. There's two different types of people, right? And they can switch at any point. What
Yeah.
might you say to them?
Yeah,
What
totally.
tips
That's a
or
great question.
suggestions might you say?
I would actually say for either
Make more
way,
sense?
if you're like, I want this to be my full bread and butter, or I just want like a solid residual income, no matter what, I think both camps, both mindsets should like build kind of for a season, kind of intensely, you know? And this is why. If you were just like in the car payment camp and you're like, that's what I really need, it would be
Hmm.
so nice to have $1,000 a month, you know, like extra money. It will take you years to build to that on the slow track. Like if you're just like, I share oils organically whenever I feel like it, and the wind blows and the spirit leads, and like it's not going to work like that. You want momentum. And so I would say connect in with your upline, connect in with like whoever you know that's teaching great classes. I have tons of classes online that anybody can join into. You can invite your people to my classes and enroll them yourselves. Like literally,
Hmm.
it's that easy, you know? But I would say like really intentionally set a goal and
Hmm.
build for it. So for somebody that wants, $1,000 a month, you're going to build to the rank of like premier or silver, but it won't hold. Like those ranks won't hold unless you're intentional with it. And so I would overshoot to
Hmm.
like silver, and then kind of be okay where it lands, and you could back off a little bit. It's like weightlifting, for example. If you lift heavy for a good amount of time, you get your body composition where you want it, you can actually back down to a third of the weight that you were lifting and maintain the same muscle mass. Okay, so that's incredible, right? You don't have to like throw heavy weight around all the time, but you do it for a season, get
Hmm.
really strong, tone up, get things solid,
Hmm.
and then you can actually back off if you want to.
Hmm.
Those of you that are going the whole way, you're gonna keep up that heavy lifting for a longer period of time, right? Um, or
Okay.
you lift heavy, release a little, lift heavy, release a little, you know, kind of thing, and climb in seasons like that. But either way, like having solid residual income does take a little bit of work, and it doesn't happen by accident. So, my best advice, like right now with doTERRA, like there is nothing better than MetaPower. You know, like MetaPower is changing lives. And so if you want to get some income from doTERRA, if you need some passive income, which who doesn't, my recommendation would be to use the products like crazy. Have your own testimonies, take before and after pictures. P.S. That doesn't mean you have to show your body in a bikini if you don't want to. Before and afters can be your skin. They could be up close and personal with your wrinkles, the backs of your hands. It could be yourself in leggings and a tank top. Like, I think people get really nervous, like, oh, I don't want to show my stretch marks on social media. Like, you don't have to do that. That, you know, I appreciate when people do. I think that is so bold and so helpful, but you don't have to do that. You know, you can do whatever you want. But kind of get your own testimonies built up with that and start sharing them. If you just think like, these products are changing my life and this is why, and here's some pictures and pictures of my friends and things like that, that alone is incredible. And when people order those products, they're ordering them regularly, right? So that's residual income right then and there. And MetaPower doesn't last as long as oils. Like oils last a little too long, in my opinion. You know, no one's ever out of oils. You know, but our MetaPower and stuff like that, and supplements and things like that, they really do run out. And so you're kind of creating a faithful customer there, with very real results. And so that would be my advice, is like focus, like singularly focus on a product you absolutely love. I think what happens is people get too overwhelmed. Like, oh, I got to teach about everything. And I'm like, if I was a teacher, for example, I'm not anymore, so I don't call myself a teacher, but if I was a teacher, I would probably talk about teaching and being all the stresses of teaching students, germ passing, just, you know, disinfecting, the things that go on in the school. I would probably solely focus on guard or abode and talk about that every single day. I would wipe desks down. I would diffuse. Sometimes schools don't let you diffuse. I would diffuse overnight when no one's in the room, you know. I would figure out ways to get around the things. I would put, you know, infuse my classroom Play-Doh with oils, and I would just talk about everything I do and only talk about that and watch this side business grow. And I tell you, I know, because I'm a teacher or was a teacher, teachers need more income. So this is definitely a great side hustle for teachers. And during the summer, you can do a lot more, but like really get focused. Like if you just talked about doTERRA skincare only and just like talk about that all the time, like all the time. MetaPower is a great focus. You're gonna talk about metabolic health and collagen, like just focus on that. Like you don't have to know about everything. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be able to explain Terrazyme, you know? I mean, like it's awesome. But if you're just like, I can't learn everything, I have another job, I would say pick your absolute favorite thing. Respiratory health, you could just talk about respiratory health constantly, you know? So I think people get way too broad and they could like just narrow down and just become like, you know, the breathe girl, you know, and you just talk about all things breath and breathing and breathe products and lung health. And, you know, you could basically talk about that for a year straight and never deviate, you know? So that's a great way to just learn very few products.
Yeah, and it's less overwhelming, you know, for folks that way. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So that's interesting. So even though you may have different objectives, the same approach up front is what's recommended, and that makes sense because otherwise it's going to take a while, even for the $1,000 a month to be steady and solid. Yeah, that's
thanks
awesome.
for inviting me.
I'm so glad that you joined me today. Yeah, this was awesome. Lots of good insight. If you join a little later and you want to see the whole thing, I'm going to repost it. Hopefully the lagging stopped. But I will repost it and we'll share it broadly. So thanks to everybody who joined and hung in with us this whole 45 minutes, sorry. And again, just thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you in Florida in a couple weeks, in a
Thank
few
you.
weeks.
See you guys.
It'll be fun. All right.